Alright fam, good morning. It's a new day and we are officially 21 days out from the Amsterdam Marathon. And on this morning, 3 weeks out, I will have my final big workout that I incorporated in my marathon build. This includes a 32-kilometer workout at a consistent pace below marathon pace. And as of right now, this morning, for these 3 to 4 big workouts that we've incorporated inside this build, I will literally treat it as it is race day, of course. So right now, I'm preparing myself the best way possible 2 hours out from that run to just get enough carbs in my system. And I will do that with 2 pieces of sourdough. We add some jelly on both pieces. We have 1 date, 1 banana, and we also add some honey. On top of that, of course, we also have a coffee. So this will prepare ourselves the best way possible. And on top of that, I will add a few supplements that will just increase my carb load, increase my electrolytes, so I'm as fit and as fresh for that run, which will happen around 2 hours from now. Alright, so right now we are 17 weeks in this prep. And for the next 3 weeks, a lot of things will change. And that is what we will cover in this video. In this video, we're going to talk about, of course, this last 32-kilometer big marathon pace workout. But on top of that, even more important, tapering. Tapering is where we're going to reduce training volume, reduce intensity. So we're gonna be as fresh, as fit as possible on race day, and that starts 14 days out. That is what we will cover in this video and what will happen 7 days from now. From 14 to 12 to even sometimes 10 days out, you want to really reduce your volume, reduce your intensity, and it might be that you think this makes no sense. When you're getting in your first build and you're gonna incorporate the taper, you might feel that you're gonna lose all your fitness, that you're gonna even lose sometimes yourself mentally. But that is crucial, trust me. The taper is one of the most important parts of this entire build. When we are gonna only increase and improve intensity over and over again, even up until race day, our legs will hold so much fatigue that we either get injured on race day, we might not be able to perform the best way possible, and because of that, we want to incorporate this taper. I will cover everything about what the taper is, how you can taper, how I am going to taper, how you can learn from it, and everything that I do around my trainings in order to facilitate recovery. So as of right now, we are preparing ourselves, of course, for the 32-kilometer workout, and the taper starts next week. Alright guys, so just to dive a little bit more into what we are having right now, right? Because we have 2 pieces of sourdough, we have some jelly, honey and banana. But why are we eating this, right? Look, what we want to do on race day and also of course during these workouts is get as much carbs in as possible to use that and store it as glycogen in our body, right? That we can then tap into during the workout in order to perform better, to recover better, and to just use that as energy, right? If we are going to consume a lot of fats or a lot of high protein diets prior to your run, that is maybe great, but those fats and those proteins will not be utilized as good as carbohydrates, let's say sugars will be, right? So because of that, we want a carbohydrate-rich diet. Of course, on race day, days leading up to race day, but also especially the morning of race day. Of course, it's your workout as well. So the sourdough, the jelly, the banana, and the honey in total will give me around 150 to 200 grams of carbs. On top of that, I will also add more carbs in terms of supplement. I will use cluster dextrin, which is of course a very high quality carbohydrate based supplement, and of course electrolytes. In total, I will have around 250 to 270 grams of carbs in my system before I even start to work out. And then on top of that, I will also add 1 gel before the run, and I'm gonna also include 4 gels inside this run. On race day, it's going to be a little bit more, but that's what we'll have before this run even starts. Alright, so 32-kilometer workout is up next. We start with the 2-kilometer warm-up, then we have 28 kilometers of fast pace, which is faster than marathon pace. So I'm aiming for a consistent pace of 4 minutes per kilometer compared to the 4:16 kilometer in order to hit a sub 3-hour marathon. This is of course 10 kilometers less, but this will be either a very big confidence booster or it tells me that more work needs to be done. And we of course round it off with a 2-kilometer cooldown. So with that being said, one more thing, I have 4 gels with me, 2 caffeinated gels and 2 non-caffeinated gels. I will take these every 7 kilometers, and right now there's nothing left to it than to do it. Let's get it. I'm in my last 100-200 meters of the cool down, and in a few minutes we are home. We go over the split and we dive into the taper. Let's get it. Alright guys, 32-kilometer big workout completed. This of course has been the last big workout of the 3 that I've done in this entire build. After, let's say, 17 weeks, I've completed 3 big workouts, which started normally at 9 or 7 weeks out from the marathon. Today, 3 weeks out from the marathon, of course, we had our last big workout, which was a 32-kilometer paced workout at marathon pace, which is also including a 2-kilometer warm-up and a 2-kilometer cooldown. So in total, 28 kilometers at faster than marathon pace. So how did it go? Look, first of all, I felt really prepared, right? I feel really confident, also because of the 35-kilometer workout that I did 2 weeks ago, which I ran at 3 minutes and 58 seconds minute per kilometer pace at the overall workout, also including a 3-kilometer warm-up and a 3-kilometer cooldown. So that was like a huge confidence booster. So going into this workout, I felt really prepared. I felt really confident, but I always keep myself very grounded in a way that I need to respect every single workout. I need to respect the marathon, because the marathon, it doesn't care about us, right? So because of that, I went, in this workout with that mindset, and it humbled me as well, to be very honest, to keep my feet on the ground. Even though you might sometimes feel like you're King Kong, that you can do everything, you need to stay focused on your goal. You don't need to run a different race. However, to be completely honest, this workout on its own was different than I initially had planned, right? Because I need to run a 4 minute and 16 seconds per kilometer pace average for the entire 42 kilometers in order to hit my sub 3 marathon. Today, I had a 32 kilometer overall distance workout, and I completed that in 2 hours and 5 minutes. That equals 3 minutes 52 minute per kilometer pace. So this is 8:24 seconds faster than marathon pace. So this is of course 10 kilometers less than the entire marathon. But after my workout, I felt really good. And what I mean with good is definitely fatigue. Like definitely after 25 kilometers, the fatigue, it just hits you. That's normal. And I was aware of that, but to be completely honest, I've never been this fit in my entire life, and that was also reflecting in this workout. So 32 kilometers at 3 minutes 52 minute per kilometer pace is something that I could only dream of 1.5 years ago when I started running. So huge confidence booster once again, and this just wraps up the peak weeks of marathon training. As of right now, I'll have my recovery shake, of course, which is magnesium with some collagen and also, of course, creatine. I always take, of course, the coconut water as a recovery as well for like the potassium levels and just for rehydration. I will hit a quick meal after this one, and next week inside this video, of course, we are also going to talk about everything related to the taper, which is very exciting because then we're going to reduce the training volume, we're going to reduce intensity, and it might feel that we are losing fitness, but it's all mental. And I'll dive into that, how that's going. I will take you guys with me. I will share my lessons so you can apply it hopefully yourself. And once again, this has been a huge confidence booster, and I cannot wait for the last 3 weeks of this marathon build.
Alright fam, good morning. It's Sunday, it's the 5th of October, and that means that right now we are 14 days out from the Amsterdam Marathon. What this means is that after today's workout, the taper officially starts. So on today's schedule, I have a 7-kilometer run club, and then after that I have an extended marathon training of 9 kilometers at around a 3:40 minutes per kilometer pace. After this, we are going to transition mostly from physical work into more mental work. And I will explain after my run what I mean by that.
Alright fam, the most important part of the marathon build has been completed. Over the past 18 weeks, we have done our work physically to show up every single day for all the workouts, all the runs, and of course to prepare ourselves for this moment where we are getting into right now. And that is the taper. Right now we are 2 weeks out from the Amsterdam Marathon. And right now we are going to shift from the physical part of the work more into mental part. What I mean by that is we are going to reduce training volume. We are going to reduce the intensity. And because of that, it might be and it might feel that we are losing fitness, right? That is completely normal. I've had it 1 year prior where I prepared myself for my first marathon of Madrid. And to be honest, how I felt that I was losing fitness, that I was basically getting slower, and it was literally more a mental game than it was a physical game. So as of right now, it's Sunday. Tomorrow we will start with the taper. Today, of course, I had my last workout with the run club, and then of course 9 kilometers at a 3:40, 3:50 minute per kilometer pace. And starting from tomorrow, this is how our and my specific training schedule will look like for the last 2 weeks of the marathon. So starting Monday, I will have my day off. And an off day for me is I will go to the gym and I will have a leg day. Then on Tuesday, I have my 16-kilometer easy run, which is supposed to be normally a 20-kilometer at least. So Wednesday we have off. Thursday we have a 2-kilometer warm-up with 8 times 750 meter repeats at about a 3:30 minute per kilometer pace, and rounding it off with a 2-kilometer cool down. Then we're getting into Friday, which is 12 kilometers easy, also significantly less than of course what I normally would do on a Friday. Saturday is off, and Sunday is the last, let's say 10 mile, 16-kilometer easy pace run above double digits if you calculate it from mileage. So 16 kilometers easy next Sunday. Then 1 week out, we are going to reduce the volume and intensity even more. So this is what I mean. You will definitely feel like mentally that you're going to reduce your volume too much and you think that you're going to lose fitness. I most likely will feel it as well. But the best part of the entire build and one of the most important parts is the last week. We don't want to run for 18, 19, 90, 100 kilometers this week with a lot of intensity and a lot of volume, because we want to prepare ourselves, like I said, to be as fit and as fresh as possible come race day, where the marathon happens. And how we do that is of course by reducing the volume and basically sticking to our diet. You don't want to change anything else than the mileage and the intensity, especially in the last week. So what we have on Monday is a 12-kilometer easy run, Tuesday off, then Wednesday 8 kilometers easy, Thursday 6 kilometers easy, Friday off, and Saturday is a 3-kilometer shakeout run. This is just very easy, just to get our legs, just shake it out a little bit. And the best part about 1 week prior, but also the second week before race day, is that we will feel less fatigued I will go to get my massage. I will go to the sauna just to let my body recover completely from the 18 weeks of work that I have had so far. So these 2 weeks, you can literally see it as reducing volume. Instead of going from 100 to 0, we go from 100 to 80 to 60 to 40 to 20, and eventually we have race day. That is how we want to approach this entire taper for 14, sometimes 12 days out. And this will prepare ourselves, like I said, to become as fit, as fresh as possible come race day, where the marathon is going to happen. So besides that, we don't change too much. We stick to our schedule in terms of diet. Our nutrition will basically be the same. And very important, which I will also cover, is that on Thursday, 3 days before Sunday, when race day happens, we will start our carb load. That's going to happen on Thursday. So with that being said, this will be a completely different video in which, and I will show you as well how I will approach my carb load in order to get more carbs in, to reduce the healthy fats, to reduce the proteins as well a little bit, just to recover. But mainly we want to consume a lot of carbs so we top off the glycogen in order to use that on race day. So with all that being said, this is my specific training schedule 14 days out, and that's what we are getting into right now.
Alright fam, good morning. It's the 9th of October, and that means that right now we have our last interval workout of this build on our schedule. This of course includes earlier what I mentioned, the 8 times 750 meter repeats. But what I'm going to do is I will head off to the track, which is around 1 kilometer away from where I live. And I'm going to try and see if I can basically use the track for this workout. And what I will do then is transition the 750 meters into 800 meter repeats 8 times, because the track, an entire track, right? One round is about 400 meters. So that means that I need to run 2 rounds in order to complete one interval of 800 meters. So that is going to be also easier for me to measure. And that of course will also start with a 2 or 3 kilometer warm up. I think I will do 3 kilometers and then of course a 3 kilometer cool down as well, which will in total be around 12, 13 kilometers ish in terms of total volume. But most importantly, of course, is the 8 times 800 meter repeats if it's going to be on the track. If I need to basically stay on the road, then I will stick to 8 times 750 meters. And my app that I've installed this workout into will of course walk me through this entire workout. So let's see how this goes. My aimed pace, let's say, for the 800 meter repeats is gonna be around 3:30 minutes per kilometer ish in terms of speed that I would like to hit in order to call this workout the last successful break workout for this build.
All right, first interval completed. I think it was a 3:30, 3:45 minutes per kilometer ish. So very happy, feeling great. 7 more to go, let's get it. All right, first 4 intervals completed. If I heard it correctly, it was around 3:30, 3:20 now. Feeling really good, even though I'm breathing, of course, pretty heavy, but that's what we need to expect in these intervals, of course. So 4 more to go. 1 gel with me. Let's get it. All right, guys. Workout completed. Right now, we are in our 3,000 meters cool down. So a few more rounds, and we're wrapping up this workout. Feeling really good, definitely. It was a hard workout, right? Not a brick workout, the last one actually of this build. Over the past months, of course, we have done so much work. Most likely, if you're seeing this, you're following it along, you've done so much work until the point where you start to taper. And especially this last interval workout feels really good. It feels like you're at the top of the mountain, that you can achieve everything. And actually you can, based on where you were, right? So be super grateful and happy what you've accomplished so far. But now we need to put the cherry on the cake. That's gonna happen for me next week Sunday. Let's get it.
Alright fam, good morning. Right now we are in the midst of the taper. And before we end this video, I want to leave you guys with something that I needed to learn the hard way last year when I prepared myself for my first marathon back in Madrid. And I made a major mistake. I almost got injured like around 7-8 days before the race started. And that was because I was still incorporating big, like intensive speed workouts in my last week before race day. This was a huge mistake that I made. And as I mentioned, this almost took me completely out of the marathon around 7 days before the race started. So luckily I was able to run it. But my takeaway for you guys as well is that you want to really take the last 7 days easy. And with easy, everybody has its own pace, has its own volume, right? Depending on what you've basically been put in terms of work during the entire build. But take easy as something that is different than hard. The same as hot is different than cold. You know, if you can basically talk in paragraphs, then that should be fine. And you can use that as your easy. And it doesn't matter how much and how hard you're running, as long as you're basically able to speak in paragraphs. So when it comes down to personal basically goals during a taper, it completely stems out from, let's say, what you've been able to put it inside the last, let's say, 10, 15, maybe 18 weeks of work prior. If you're basically doing, or if you did like, let's say 70, 80, maybe up until 100 kilometers a week, then take around 60, 70% of that work with you in that second week, like 2 weeks out from the marathon. That's what I am doing. I'm right now doing 54 kilometers 2 weeks out from the marathon. Next week, in the last 7 days, that will scale down all the way back to 28, excluding the marathon itself, of course. So that's what I do. I hope that helps. And make sure that you don't go from like 0 to 100 that fast in the beginning, but also not scale back from 100 kilometers a week to, let's say, 20 in literally 7 days. That's also not going to be beneficial. So make the right decisions. Do the calculations for yourself. Around 50, 60, 70% of work you want to take with you in the second, like the first week of the taper. And last week, scale it back to around 30, 40% of the work that you've been able to do during peak weeks. So with all that being said, thank you for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the before last video, which we're going to talk about carb loading. See you guys there.